Okay, so, we love diving into these astrological forecasts. And this one you sent from Text Call A by Tarot by High C really caught our eye.
Yeah, March 20th, 2025. There's a lot happening astrologically speaking, and I think it's going to be super interesting to unpack what these planetary movements might mean for you specifically.
Absolutely. And we want to, pull out some of the most interesting points and hopefully give you some, actual things to think about and work with.
So this particular time period is so interesting because we have like a convergence of some pretty major astrological energies happening all at once. We've got the sun moving into Aries. We've got significant lunar aspects happening both in the morning and the evening, and we have the equinox all kind of culminating around the same period.
Right. And I'm thinking maybe we could start by talking about the sun entering Aries. What's the core shift in energy there that we should be aware of?
Yeah, so the sun entering Aries really ignites this period of, heightened motivation and energy. There's a real drive to pursue your ambitions,
Yeah.
The forecast actually mentions that there's like an impetus to chase after our desires. So for you, this could really feel like kind of a surge of energy to, get things moving, get things started.
Yeah.
However, one thing that's really important to keep in mind with this is to avoid that kind of like temptation of starting multiple projects and not seeing them through, with your personality being thorough is going to be really important here.
Absolutely, yeah. And speaking of personalities, I'm curious about the morning aspect. On the 20th, there's a Sagittarius moon trine Mercury. So how might that energy kind of play out?
Oh, that alignment is fantastic for clear thinking. So with that expansive, Sagittarius moon harmonizing with Mercury, which is all about communication, it just suggests, a really smooth flow of ideas.
Yeah.
And for you, this could be an optimal time for, doing tasks that require sharp mental focus and effective communication. So maybe like planning or strategizing.
That's a great tip.
Yeah.
Okay, and then in the evening, we've got Sagittarius moon opposite Jupiter.
Yeah.
So what kind of balance do we need to consider then?
Yeah. Oppositions are always really interesting because they often highlight a need to find that equilibrium between two different energies.
Right.
So in this case, the optimism of Jupiter meets that kind of sometimes overzealous nature of the Sagittarius moon.
I see.
And the forecast advises you to balance optimism with realism. So while it's, fantastic to be hopeful about your goals, it's also really important to remember to ground those aspirations in, practical steps.
Absolutely. Now, all of this coincides with the equinox and the start of Aries season. So how do those kind of layer together?
Right. So the equinox itself is this really powerful moment of balance with equal day and night. And the source highlights it as like, a fresh astronomical season heralding a fresh start. So combined with the sun entering Aries, it really amplifies this feeling of new beginnings. And I think for you, this is a really natural time to reflect on any areas where you're feeling an imbalance, whether that's internal or in, your external endeavors, and to kind of consciously work towards regaining that equilibrium.
I love that. I love that. And, reading this forecast, the language around Aries season is so strong, like bold, impulsive, ready to take action. It definitely sounds like a time to, get moving with those plans.
Exactly. It's that assertive Aries energy. It's inherently that way. And the text really emphasizes this. It rewards bold moves. And it notes that both confidence and impatience are ablaze. So if you've been considering taking a leap in any area, this astrological climate is really encouraging you to do so.
That's great.
It's kind of like tapping into that, your inner warrior.
Mm-hmm. Now, the last point I wanted to touch on is that this equinox is actually happening during eclipse season. So I'm curious how that might add another layer.
Right. Having the equinox within eclipse season really adds what the text describes as another level of emotional complexity and spiritual depth. And eclipses often bring about unexpected shifts. They can highlight areas in our lives that need transformation. So for you, this might mean being a little more attuned to underlying emotional currents as you navigate this period of new beginnings.
Yeah.
There's a heightened sensitivity to those, cosmic influences.
Okay, so to recap here, as you move through the day today, March 20th, and into these first few weeks of Aries season, it seems like the key takeaway is to kind of harness that fresh wave of motivation that comes with Aries.
Yeah.
But to do it in a focused way.
Absolutely.
We talked about that morning clarity could be really helpful.
Yeah.
And then, in the evening, remembering to balance that enthusiasm with a practical perspective.
Right.
The equinox is encouraging us to look at where we might need a little more balance as we, step into this action-oriented time. And then all that is happening within this, possibly more emotionally charged eclipse season.
Yeah, you've summed it up perfectly. It really is this powerful blend of energies that are encouraging both forward movement and kind of a deeper self-awareness.
It's fascinating. And so I guess my final thought for you listening is to think about, considering this emphasis on bold moves and fresh starts,
Yeah.
what feels most ignited within you right now. Where are you feeling that call to action, that inner warrior? But with, a mindful eye towards making realistic progress. This cosmic setup seems like a really, really unique opportunity to have some intentional growth this week.
Couldn't agree more.
Awesome. Well, thanks for letting us dive into this with you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
We'll see you next time.
See you later.